Alright, so I made this filter last week and it really blew up.
Owls, Harry Potter.
Oh, I look good with that.
EffectHouse Crash Course is going on. This is week 3. If you missed the previous weeks, don't worry because you can go to our website and rewatch all of the old videos and lives. Intro about Kasai. He's a very talented effect creator who's created the multiplication, guess the flag, Wordle, color chaos, and Makeup Studio. He's an incredible mentor for the Effect House community as well. He's always sharing numerous resources, answering people's questions. So you know he's great. Kasai, if you had to describe yourself in one line, what would it be?
One line. I guess I'm an avid game creator. I love creating games, and I
Uh-huh.
guess Effect House really allows me to like create games for such a large community. And the same
Uh-huh.
with the multiplication effect, like a lot of people like the games. And yeah, I just really like making games for the community.
That is fantastic. He is an Effect House Ambassador, which is our program to celebrate, support, and uplift our top creators. And the creators that are most active in the community, publishing effects, and having built a community around the effects that they create. And I feel like Kasai is a very good example. There's people, loads of people who love his effects. And the people who are in the ambassadors program get white glove technical support, get early access to the newest and experimental features and versions, get invitation to private and virtual, in-person, both kind of events, and partnership opportunities. So tell us a little bit about what's the most fun thing that you got to do as an ambassador.
Ooh. So the number one thing, two things. The number one things is just
Ooh.
meet other creators in general. I've met so many cool creators. I've made so many friends. And number two, I guess the second thing, we recently went to VidCon, went to Anaheim, California, where we met up, had a lot of fun events, went to Disneyland. It was just a fun week.
Whoa.
It was just a fun week, and I met so many cool people.
What I love is after the VidCon event, all of the people who met up during VidCon are still in touch. They're collaborating, they're supporting each other's effects. Like when somebody publishes an effect, you go try it out. That is the cutest, most adorable thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so many talented creators, and I guess the ability to meet up in person, you're like, I'm used to seeing you. We said it, we're used to seeing each other behind our screens and our profile pictures,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
seeing like everyone else and being able to talk to them and just seeing how they think, how they process creating effects, their strengths in creating effects, it's like
Uh-huh.
so it makes the community so much more enriching.
It is fantastic. I personally love it because some creators, as you mentioned, are stronger in 3D modeling. Others are really good at scripting. Others are talented visual artists who create amazing assets. And by attending and making new friends in the community, you guys are collaborating. So one person will contribute the 3D models, the other person will do all of the visual scripting, and then the other person will provide the assets. And that is just a great relationship. Okay, I want to know a little bit more about you. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So I grew up on the islands of Jamaica.
Wow.
Really, really sunny, really nice, really small island. And but right now I'm currently living in New Jersey where it's a bit of the opposite. So it doesn't get
Not so
as
sunny.
hot, not as sunny, but the colds are cold.
Mhm.
So it's pretty nice, and there is a community in the New Jersey, New York area of effect creators. So it's really nice, being around other creators here as well. But yeah, I have a degree in computer science. So and before that I was like programming, like trying to make games. I love making games either on my computer or writing something up. I'd always had fun doing that. And I found out about Effect House when you guys were just starting the beta. And I got on, and I took my time to learn, starting from the nodes. All right, what are these nodes? All right, visual scripting, that looks cool. And I just kind of worked my way up into creating more effects and to the effects that everyone sees and loves now.
That is absolutely fantastic. And Mike Black Hat in the comments said, Kasai is a creator who inspires others. Don't lose your essence. This is so
Oh, this
heartwarming.
is too
I
nice.
love this. I love the Effect House community. Andine says the Dragon Ball effect was insane. Seagraph also says, I love Kasai's effect too, with a little big star emoji. And Pandacorn is me also said that's why Haley and I are doing a similar thing by using each other's effects and videos to promote each other. This is amazing. The Effect House community is here for you. Definitely connect with each other. I think that's a amazing opportunity for collaboration. Everybody's saying this is so fun, so inspiring. I'm so glad you could be here, Kasai. Thank you for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so what's the most rewarding part about being an effect creator?
I'd go back to the community reaction. So when I had created my first effect, I did not expect it to get any videos as yet. But I remember the exact moment I opened TikTok just to test the effect out to see, okay, let's see how this works. And a few people had already used the effect. And I remember the excitement. I was like, oh, wow, people already use it. And immediately I was like, I bet I can do another one, or I bet I can make a cooler thing. And the process continued where I made another effect and people liked it or people would use it.
Wow.
And it's always the mindset now is, even when I guess I'm not figuring something out in the moment or there's some hiccup, it's like, as soon as I finish this, there might be one or two people that like it, or maybe thousands. So it's always the community reaction. I love watching the community videos. I'll spend hours just scrolling, going through the different videos, see how people interact with it. And I think that is the most rewarding part, just seeing people smile or people surprised off of something that I created.
I think this is literally also one of my favorite parts about being an effect creator because it's connected to TikTok. You get to meet a vast variety and enormous amount of people. And sometimes I just go spend hours going through the videos of people trying my effect. And for one of my effects, heart photo booth,
I
I
remember that.
not intended for animals, but my all-time favorite video is somebody got a ferret and they were bending the ferret, not in an extreme way, but like in little curves so that it would make a little heart. And then I was like, this is better than anything I could have imagined or came up with myself. So I feel like creating an effect is also a very collaborative process because I, as an effect creator, supply the effect, but how you use it is really up to the video creator. So they also have a different interpretation or a different way of using the effects. And I feel like sometimes it just blows my mind. I love everyone's creativity. So fun.
Yeah, it's really one of the best parts because it's a lot of times something you may not even envision for your effect. It gets used in a different way, and other people start using it. It's the nice
Yeah.
part.
Okay, be real with me here. What is one of the most challenging parts of being an effect creator?
Hmm. I guess it is effect creation burnout, and I guess it's just creative burnout in general because Effect House will constantly push out new features and like really cool stuff, and immediately you're like, I want to do something with this. Or if you're working with like a company, like you're doing some brand stuff, you're doing some personal work, and it's the constant thing of like, oh, I bet I could do this. But it's always good to take a break, catch your breath, and sometimes that's even rewarding because I've stayed up nights trying to ride the wave of thoughts of like this and that and that, and then you make a small mistake. But I've realized sometimes, you take an hour and say, all right, I'll go in early and start early, and the next morning your thoughts are just flowing.
Yes.
So knowing when to take a break so you don't really experience effect creation burnout is really good.
I definitely take this advice to heart because sometimes it's so fun and you love seeing people and then you just go create, create, create. So you just sometimes don't think about like, oh, when I should be sleeping because when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. But make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. And I feel like Kasai is also one of the creators who do this really well because he always appreciates community feedback, more ideas. So we have a feature where we can like update the effect. So whenever he publishes an effect, he gives a video and then he says, hey, if you guys have any ideas on how I can improve this effect, please tell me and I'll make those changes. And then he actually takes the community feedbacks and makes it better and better. And I feel like this is such a great way to create with your audience as well. Dia Clone says Kasai is such a humble and talented creator. I love that he cares so much about how his effects make the community feel.
Uh,
Oh, that is so nice.
that is, these are really nice comments.
Yeah,
Trying to
everybody
hold
loves
in
you
the
here.
tears.
Okay, then how do you get inspired for effects? Like what are the reasonings, or like how did you come up with all these cool effects?
So a lot of this is, I guess, a lot of avenues. So you'll
Mm.
see like pop culture stuff, or you'll be watching a game show and you think, that would make a really cool effect.
Yes.
Or a new
Yes.
update may come out and you're like, oh wow, I wonder if I could implement this in EffectHouse or
Mhm.
other creators, because you
Mm.
have an enormous pool of talented creators who make like different effects, and you're like, oh wow, that is cool. I wonder if you add this on it, how that would work. Or so you may collaborate with them, or you may give
uh,
credit and just say, oh,
uh,
this is really cool. Can we do this or that? So creators, pop culture, or just kind of brainstorming. So with one of my recent ones, I was like, oh, something memory based. What would be cool with memory? I was like, oh, colors. And I drafted
yeah.
up a rough idea, and I was like, you know what? The community probably has a lot of ideas too, so I'll draft something up rough and then toss it over there and see what everyone has.
So basically, a lot of like pop culture, maybe inspired by new tool features that we came out with. Also, some create inspired by other creators' work and working together. So that's great. I also feel like the For You page, I personally get a lot of inspiration from the For You page. So whenever I run into it, I save it, and then I have a collection with like 500 videos of things that I think would be amazing effects. Maybe we should come on live stream together and try to choose a video and make an
Oh, and
effect.
just make an effect.
Real time.
That would be cool.
See, they will see us struggle and like get stuck at points, but that's the fun of making an effect. Okay, so on the Crash Course Live, there are some creators who are creating an effect for the very first time. Do you have any advice for beginner creators in the chat?
I would say don't be too hard on yourself. It is a process. So I've seen creators reach out and be like, oh, Kasai, how'd you create this? But for more complicated effects, you normally have to build your way up to it. So it's always good to start with utilize the templates. Start with a randomizer, see what's going on in the background. If you're big on 3D effects, you want to get into 3D spaces, use the 3D template. See how the character is dropped in place, see the different axes, just as much as you can utilize. And again, just don't be too hard on yourself. Whatever comes to you, just create it, and you can always iterate, you can always get better. The Discord, the community is really helpful. You can always ask questions. I always reach out of like, hey guys, does anyone know how to do this? Or I'd like search in the chat to see if anyone had the problem before, or if they figured out how to fix it. You can also reach out to the community mods. So it's just feel free to create. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I'm sure the community is gonna love it anyway. And if you come up with something afterwards, you can always ideate and just make it better afterwards.
That's perfect. Start simple and then you can keep improving it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite effect that you've built?
Ooh.
Hard question. So many
This is
babies.
hard.
There are babies. Like,
Oh man. Let's see. I think my favorite effect would probably now be the multiplication effect.
ooh.
I really was a big multiplication kid where I just sit down and like when we get those sheets to do the multiplication problems and just flip my page really loudly. So I love multiplication. So creating the effect, I didn't know how if as much people would interact with it because it does have its buttons and whatnot, but it has over 200,000 videos now, and it makes me really happy to see how much people are
Wow.
interacting with like a multiplication based filter and how it's helping people to sharpen their multiplication skills, because we probably aren't as sharp as we used to be or back in the day on multiplication and stuff. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm looking at our TikTok poll about favorite Kasai effects. We have 30 votes now, and it is so even. Multiplication is number one with 30%, but Wordle, Guess the Flag, Makeup Studio is all 23%. 23, 23,
That's
23.
really cool.
This is perfect, guys. Okay, now let's actually move on to the tutorial. So Kasai has shared in our Discord page a drag and lock project, and it is a super useful resource that you can start base off of or use parts of in your effect to create a super fun effect. Kasai, do you want to show us how you built your this project, how you built it?
You'll have an basically an object in the middle, and you kind of just drag it towards a position, and it will follow the point that you're touching and then lock if it overlaps with one, two, three, or four or five. I turned this into a template where basically much of the backend is reduced into large subgroups. When it starts, a 2D image loads in the center. Right now it's at Betty, which is a Taylor Swift song. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. Betty is right
Ooh.
here, and it you just drag it and say you want it to drag it to the three position. It picks up that, oh, you're overlapping the three position, so it locks it. You can't pull it out, you can't do anything with it, and the new one gets spawned here, which is maroon. So basically, if you wanted to create something like this, I always say the best thing to do is kind of write out the things that you would need. And what I mean by that is this uses the figure touch 1 node. And so because I know it's using, oh, when I touch the screen, follow my finger where it goes, you think, oh, what node did that use? Okay, the finger touch 1 node. And then, all right, next I'll need the 5 images. So what would I need there? And then use the 2D images. You use 5 2D images, place them here, 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 and there. And for this effect, I had it where it shrunk the 2D image, which is now maroon, would shrink as you go closer to the top five. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing to add. But that's another thing you need to consider. All right, what would I need to do there? So let me go back to the main graph, and I added comments to most of this. So this is the upward shrinking subgroup. And subgroups are very important because they kind of compile everything. So it makes your effect easier to understand. And also I've realized it's easier on your computer. So it makes EffectHouse also a little bit more responsive. For, I guess, a bit of back information. So when a new image spawns on the screen, right now this image is maroon. What had happened before that is this was set invisible. So it's technically 5 images. It's not spawning instantaneously. It's 5 images being spawned after you lock in the song to the number position. So that's why right here we're using the position of each of the 5 images and say, okay, I want when it goes upwards. So you're like, all right, when the value raises in the y, from when the value raises in the y, you say, all right, shrink it down a bit. And you kind of remap. And for the newer people, this is maybe a lot of technical information on the EffectHouse visual scripting side. But just in layman's terms, as it goes higher, given that you're raising in the y, you just say, all right, shrink it a bit. And that's something you'd maybe set aside or set as a different thought. There's
Just wanted
also
to
an
let
end.
everybody know that the project file for this is available on our Discord channel. Thank you, Kasai, for sharing it. So we're gonna go over like the general image today, but you might miss some parts, and that is perfectly normal because this is a technical project and Kasai is a skilled computer science person. But the project file is right there for you to actually download and investigate. So you can go over and actually like click on the nodes and you can see the description on the nodes about what it is, and there's some comments around it, it seems like. So you
Yeah,
can see, you can try to like follow the steps, and but that, I think he's explaining it really well. I Until now I followed through, so I think everything is all good. And I love how you added these small features, like it was absolutely not necessary for him to make the album sizes go smaller as you drag and drop. But these are some of the little things that you can add in your project that increase the quality of your work. So it looks super professional, it looks super smooth. So you can take some super tips from Kasai on how to create a really nice polished effect. So
Thank you.
perfect.
So, as Celine had said, this is pretty much packaged up as it is a template. So, most of this is already ready to use. All you'd have to do is click this animation texture, go over to textures, and just import your own texture sequences. And you can have your own effect just like that. I am just going a bit deeper into like how I created it and like the things that I probably thought of while doing it and the notes that made it possible. All right. That's a 5. I don't really like that song as much. And the final one, just to show you, just to show you how it ends. So upon reaching the final one, you realize that my top 5 pops up. So what happens here is in this end screen section, this is, you see the X beside it, that means it's a variable. And my thought process is every time that one of these positions is filled, I added one to the top 5 tracker variable. And this is saying, okay, once this reaches 5 or all the selections are filled out, an update node is always checking if it reaches 5. And then once, it'll just do once, because what had happened if the do once was not there, it will just always be popping up because update will be like, oh, is it at 5? And it's like, yeah, I'm at 5. All right, pop it up. And they'll just keep doing that. So the do once way is a nice way to, the do once node is a nice way to limit it to only happening one time. So it's not always just it continuously doing that. And just a sequence to say the position raises. So it has that rising animation where it started somewhere around the middle and just rose up above the top. And also the opacity rose. It was set to 0, so you couldn't even see the my top 5, but it was always in that position. And as soon as it hit 5, the text rose and the opacity rose, so it kind of faded in. So it's a rising, fading effect, and I really like that. So let me restart here just to show you some other cool things you could do. And while that's restarting, if you go over to the hierarchy section, just a nice tip. I'm using the 2D camera. When you open an effect, the 3D camera will also be in the hierarchy setting. But in this effect, I didn't use any lighting. I didn't use anything that, or any face tracking or anything that would use the 3D camera. So what I did, I just removed it, because every bit, every asset, every image, every camera, it plays a part, and you don't want your effect to be too laggy, and just so it works on everyone's devices as best as possible. Another cool thing you can do is you can also mess around with the colors of each one of the 1 to 5, each one of the numbers. So right now it's set to white, and I did that on purpose to give you full creative freedom because I didn't want anyone to not realize. So I could go over and just set this to green. And as you realize, it changes to green. And so you have full creative freedom, and always go to your inspector panel and just try different things, mess around with opacity, mess around with the blend nodes, stretch nodes. We have draw mode back, so you can do a bunch of cool things. So I always say, always utilize the templates, the community templates, and the templates that are built in, because you can learn so much.
Kasai, I know you're a big fan of draw mode. Can you tell us what a draw mode is?
Oh my God. I love draw mode. So a lot of my effects are games. And I guess I'll give you a use case. A lot of my effects are games. So it will use, say, a loading bar. So to have the effect or the loading bar gradually declines until nothing, you may think, oh, let's shrink the width of it so it just gets smaller, but then it happens on both sides, or it kind of just squinches in instead of the normal way we're used to seeing it. But with draw mode, if you set it to filled, or say for the loading bar example, if you set it to filled, you can you can use visual scripting to slowly reduce the number, and drama just has it look so cool. You can do eclipses, so you can have like a countdown effect. uh, Me and a few other creators, we really like drama, and we're just so happy it's back.
Yeah, we had the draw mode, but because of our 2D refactor system, in order to make it more easier for you guys, because now with this update, you can put texture, like animated sequences anywhere. So had to temporarily take it away, but it's back now. So
Woo!
Kasai will, I guess, do a lot of fun loading images, and maybe we'll invite him back and ask him for how to do a cool loading images screen.
Definitely.
Reem asked a question. Reem says, is there a way to swap between picked options after drag and drop? Let's say
Mm,
you drag that album already to
mhm.
3, but
Yeah.
then like you want to change it. So like, can you move it?
For this specific template, the idea is, so it was a game idea of mine. There are a couple where you can like switch them around, but for this one, it was more pressure on the user because you can't change it afterwards. So if I gave Mad Woman, like, I kind of like this song, like, all right, I'll put it at 2, but then let's see, Bejewel comes after, and I was like, oh, I wanted this at 2. You can't really put it there now. So I believe another creator, he has a video up he also put it in the Discord template section, where he has one where you can kind of drag it, replace them afterwards. But for this specific project, the idea was to just have it drag and just locked into place.
Yes, there is a way to do it in the visual scripting system. It is not in this project, but we have an additional resource. So go check it out there. And if you have more questions, you can leave it in our forum as well, and we'll get to answering it. So attempt to maybe reset the variables or parameters so that it gives
Oh,
you a
yeah, definitely.
second chance to choose. But let us know if you run into any problems. Okay. Do you think we're good on this tutorial? Should we move on to the color game?
Alrighty.
Okay, sounds good. If you have any questions about this project, leave it in the chat, and at the end we will go to the Q&A section and we'll answer some questions if we can. Pro Bono says, is there a place where I can access your previous lives? Yes, there is. On the Effect House YouTube channel, if you just search for Effect House channel with this exact same profile image will come up, and there you can see all of our previous lives. Okay, with that, I think we're ready to go. Kasai, do you want to show us your color memory effect?
So color memory, it started out, I remember I was saying the story of just a simple effect where the colors were changing, and you just have to try to remember, like, you have to try to memorize them. But the community gave me some ideas. I even got one from Fran, which was really cool. I started updating, and to the point where now it's pretty node intensive. But let's take it from the top. It's only two-dimensional. So you have the 5 buttons, you have the colors, and you have the timer. The camera is here, and I'm not using the camera because I'm not utilizing light. They're all flat images, so it doesn't need the light. So we can always try to delete the camera and delete directional light because we're not using it. It may seem small, but everything has a bit of weight to the program. And so try your best to always have it really light. That way, more people can utilize it. All right. So let's start with opening up the visual scripting area. So a question I see pretty often as to checkpointing, which is basically, okay, how do I say start? How do I say stop? How do I restart an effect? How do I continue at a specific part? And I guess the best two nodes, in this case, I use the if, but a really good one is also the gate node. The gate node allows you to have basically full control over your effect. I know I have it somewhere. It's my favorite node as of late. So basically how the gate node operates. The gate node is saying, okay, whatever you want to go through me, I'll definitely put it. Only if I'm open. So in this state, I have it start as open, but it can get closed and something can trigger it to be closed. So say update. So update is basically a pulse. It's information getting sent every tick. So every tick is basically always. The update node is always pushing information. It's always updating. So generally, if I had the update node connected to another node, this right here would always be blue. But I'm also paused. I also pause the preview window, which is pausing the color information. But basically, this update node cannot get to any other node unless the gate is open. So that kind of power is really good if you're saying, okay, do all of this stuff, but only when the video is recording. So you set video recording and then say, all right, that opens the gate, and then now you can do all that stuff. Or if video stop, that closes the gate and no more information is being put through. So let's go back to the beginning.
I
Well,
really like the gate node. I feel like not a lot of people is utilizing it at the moment,
it's a
but it's
pretty
like
underrated
opening.
node.
I know it is an underrated node, but gate is like when you open the gate, everything goes through. But when the door is closed, how no matter how much you touch the screen or activate your trigger, it just doesn't go through. So maybe if you want to make sure that this effect is only playing when the video is recording, so then you can set that as a node to make sure that if somebody's recording the video while they're trying on your effects, so maybe the number of times the your effects get published goes up by a little bit. I don't know, putting a little hack here. Thank you, Kasai, for sharing.
Definitely. So I was saying that if you realized when the effect just started, it pulls through 5 different colors, kind of cycled through them. And the only way to, well, one way to remember what colors are shown for, I guess, the program itself, because the program has to remember, oh, let me keep this information. You can store it in variables. And what I like doing is assigning variable numbers to different things. So I'll say, all right, the first is 0. And then in another part, I'll say, all right, 0 is equal to yellow. That way it's consistent. That way I can say if if the color shown was yellow and the first color you select is yellow, or 0 and 0, then that's correct. So that's what all these equal nodes are for. So in the first slot, select your answer. If you the first color you select and the first color that was shown are equal, and it goes on for the rest. Second slot and the actual second color, if all of them are correct, and then you tap the check image, which it does check with the if, then everything plays. It goes on to the next node, and it gets pretty big from there. Now, let me go over to the color section. All right. Let's see. All right. So this is also one of my favorite effects, the sequence effect, which I think it's every tick. It just does each thing sequentially, but really fast. You wouldn't even realize, to the point where you'd assume it's instantaneous. So what I did here is on start, certain color values are set. So one second, let me see if I can bring it back just so you can see it visually. But yeah, Celine, you were asking, I guess, a difficult part of the effect.
Yeah, because I know how you started with the idea. You had an idea like, oh, I want to do a memory game, but like actually breaking down and coming up with the process. Like, what was the hardest part?
I guess the hardest part would be having your effect memorize the colors and then confirm it, because I really
Mm,
broke it down as much as I could. I was like, all right, this is a huge project. Let's break it down. So I was like, the bread and butter is pulsing through different colors. So I said,
mm-hmm.
all right, how would I do that? All right, I'll use, when video starts, do this color, wait, and do this color, wait, and do that color. So I believe I have that exact thought process somewhere around here.
So the colors are assigned
Yeah,
automatically
the
by the
by the
engines.
by the
Hmm.
effect itself, it randomly picks one, and then it makes sure it doesn't pick another one using the index generator.
Hmm.
And that ensures you don't pick anymore, you don't pick another color, it stays. I believe the exact option is shuffle. That way it doesn't use a color it already did. That's why it comes randomly,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't duplicate colors.
Hmm.
So the shuffle
So
option was good there.
basically, you had five options, the five different colors, and after the engine says, "Hey, I'm gonna do red," you will go in and check if we've already done red before, and if it didn't do red, we will go over back and show
Yeah.
red. And then the next one would be yellow. But if we've already done yellow in the past, we would go and see, oh, we already did yellow. And then the engine would have to choose another color that we didn't choose from.
Yeah. Are there any questions so
Green
far?
said, "How much time did it take for you to make it?"
Uh, so this was an iteration over a couple days. The
Hmm.
initial effect, it it was one of those zone nights. I think Celine, you've experienced that where you're kind of just in the zone and everything's just clicking.
In
You
the
kind of see
zone.
you see nodes in green and black. But the initial setup where it was just cycling through colors and you kind of selected it. There was no countdown. There wasn't much added to it. That took like a night. But again, I have done like a lot of effects like this, so it would take a bit longer if you're not too familiar with what some of the nodes does and stuff like that. So don't beat yourself too much about it. It's always like I say, baby steps, because this
Panda Corn is me is saying, anyone else gets scared when seeing Kasai's visual scripting?
it's not as scary as the last one because I haven't because it's still an effect I'm working on. I had to break it open to add the new updates that I added a couple new updates. So I had to really like break it open, and I haven't like recompressed it again, which is making subgroups. So it only looks scary because things aren't grouped together. You haven't subgrouped things, but once you kind of break things down, is all right. This is the main thing. All right, I have this. What's next? That's basically what's going on. So don't feel, I guess, terrified by it. It's not as scary. I promise.
Exactly. So this is why we in the beginning said it's better to start simple. So let's say this is a effect that you want to create. You want to create this memory game. Then don't go start like working on different projects at once, like saying like, oh my gosh, I gotta do the color, I gotta do the number, I gotta do the memorization.
Yeah.
Start out by writing the general concept of what I want to achieve. Like Kasai said, break down into small, achievable steps and go very, very simple because you can always update it or improve it and make it better. So start very simple. In this process, he divided it so that you need to randomly generate the color, check if the color is there, display the color, and make sure that the user got the color. So because those are divided in steps, over a couple days he tackled one by one, and then after all, he has a final effect.
Yeah. And also, I can't stress it enough. Going to the Discord, interacting with the community, you can learn a lot just by searching or asking. Haley Cat's always there, like helping out with questions. A lot of people are there helping out with questions. So you can also for specific node information, a lot of people are familiar with the gate node because it's as if the if node does something similar. But in that case, you can always click the eye the eye icon beside there that kind of breaks it down for you. And you can hit learn more, which would take you to the EffectHouse website and kind of just break it all down. And a lot of times there is an example project that shows, oh, it's used in this case, and this is what happens. So it breaks it down. It tells you what happens to each section and the node outputs, the node inputs. It's really good. And I've realized also at the in the inspector panel, it's now on like screen transform and image. So you can just by clicking around, you can learn a lot of things, majority of what you may need. But if there are one or two things you're still not sure about, you can check online or you can come to the Discord and ask around or search if it's been a question that's been asked already.
Okay. A lot of people are saying they are motivated, they're eager to learn. Panda Corn is me saying, I have too many ideas, not enough time nor knowledge of Effect House yet, but watch out, I'm learning fast and motivated.
Woo!
This is so cute. We love that. People like Kasai is here, people like us is here, and we're ready to help you. The Effect House community is great. So I am very happy that you're eager to learn. I hope we can support you, and then you can create the effect of your dreams. Kasai, is there any point other than the parts that you mentioned already that you want to point out in?
Oh yes, I guess because I really like nodes. So one of my favorite combinations is using peak. Peak isn't used much, but I know for a lot of creators, when you're creating an effect that involves like values or numbers, you can't really see if it updates. You don't really know what it looks like. So using the peak node, every time say index generator updates, you can see, oh, this is what its current value is. And index generator is a really good node. It is the backbone of this project because that randomization without using the same color, it's all built off the index generator. So right now it's set to shuffle, and basically what shuffle is, go through from 0 to 4 and pick a number, and when the next turn comes to pick another number, don't pick a number you picked already. So such an insane process that used to take a couple of nodes to do is now built on the index generator. And for creators that are starting small and you're doing like a randomizer, I'll try to utilize the index generator. It'll give you a good sense of how to how to randomize, how to create, how to ideate on maybe ideas you've had already. And yeah, I'm telling you, the index generator, the select node with the actual colors, the backbone of the effect. Everything else is just so that this comes after this, that comes after that. But as far as the logic, this is a lot of it. So the select node, and also another thing, select can also be used for colors. So you can say, all right, this is equal to that, that is equal to that. Select is mostly used for numbers. But yeah, I didn't want to go too far off and hear like the additional colors for another level.
Everybody's saying this live is so helpful. Geraldine is saying I have to watch this live 50 times to absorb all of the information. Another good idea Haley Kapaz had is in the comment is it would be cool if there was some type of note of the day or note of the week. And based on our conversation, you shared so many good notes. I don't know what to
Nodes are
select as the note.
amazing.
Should we do gates or index generator?
Dude,
I
I
feel
think
like that was a mega tip.
the index generator is a pretty good one because a lot of the simple effects, it uses a similar kind of it uses something similar to the index generator, but no one really knows like, oh, you could just use the index generator. So I think it'll be a really cool one. Pretty
Okay,
underrated
I
node.
think that's great. Before ending the live today, I just want to ask you a couple more questions.
Mhm.
Okay, is there anyone you admire in the Effect House community?
Oh, let's see. Couple of my favorite creators. Projo makes really cool games.
Oh
I really love
my gosh.
Projo's work. I tell him all the
Rojo
time,
is
like,
coming on Wednesday, so
woo!
he is gonna be live and he's gonna be teaching some behind the scenes of TikTok game as well. So
I'll be here.
it almost feels like it's scripted, but I literally did not tell Kasai. This is not scripted, guys, okay?
I love Projo. Jan makes wonderful effects. I think Jan has some of the most dynamic looking. He's really good at like making it visually appealing. That's like a really
Mm.
good strength of his. I love looking at his effects. Yeah, I think those are my top two favorite creators at the moment. I do like all the time I'll go to like smaller creators, I'll check, oh, what are they doing? Oh wow, they're making this, or I'll reach out or I'll like comment like, oh, I really love this, keep going. So it's more so like I really like the community. And a lot of the smaller creators will tell you like I'll always interact with their videos or I'll like make sure to follow back because it's always cool to see someone's vision because you can have randomizer templates, but someone will do red flags filter. It's like so many different things can come from one concept. So I always like seeing the different ways in which people do this. But as
Yeah, I
far as
mean, even if it's a simple idea like a randomizer, you can create a mega viral effect like Laura by doing green flags, red flags, girl dinner.
girl
So
dinner,
Definitely check out those effect guys, and I'll put the all of the people that Kasai mentioned in the YouTube chat as well if you want to go check their profiles out. Someone that I've been really respecting at the moment is actually in the chat right now. Ooh, who is it gonna be? It's Florencia. She's been so actively creating. She's doing such a great job utilizing like the new AI features that
AI.
Effect House introduced. All of her effects are like super artistic but also technical and beautiful at the same time. She is charging Effect House by the storm, learning all of the material editor and publishing so many material editor effects. Give a shout out to Florencia and go check out her channel as well. Some people in the comments are saying Kasai is their respected Effect House creator. Congratulations, Kasai. Okay,
I can't
one
cry on
more
stream.
question. Sneak peek of your next effect. Can you share give us a little
Hmm.
secret spoilers?
So I have been working for a while to make. I had an effect that has a 3D analog, which is basically a 3D character you can place in the real world and just have them move around with the analog. But I wanted to gamify that. So I can't say much more what I have in mind, but it is coming very soon, and I think you guys will like it.
That is fantastic. I literally can't wait to see. And please let us know when it happens because I would love, love, love to go try it out. And when it gets published, I will use the official Effect House account and put it in our official account as well. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Kasai,
Kasai,
for
for
coming
coming live.
live and showing us all the ropes and taking us behind the scenes. I think everybody really loved it. The entire comment page was popping.
Just to reiterate, just whatever work you have, just put it out there. If there's anything, reach out to the community and lean into your strengths. I believe a lot of you will make great effects. So looking forward to seeing them.
That's fantastic. I put Kasai's TikTok page in the link as well. Everybody go give him a follow and try out his effects if you haven't already. Goodbye, guys. Have a great rest of your day.